Hi everyone, welcome to our health and wellness channel. So today our topic is power of spoken words, right? Many a times what you speak becomes reality. I'm not saying that always what you speak become reality, but many times it does, right? When you say something to somebody, you got to be a little careful, right? Because many times, let's say you speak to your younger brother or something, they listen to you, right? Whatever you say, so you got to be a little careful what you say to them because they might be believing you. When you have a younger brother, let's say 5 or 6 years old, younger to you, and just like he's like 7 or 8 years, he might be believing what you are saying. So you should be careful to whom what you are saying, or maybe you are speaking to somebody who doesn't really know about the subject you are talking. So he might be just believing what you are saying. So that's why it is said power of spoken words, right? Now your words are, as I said, really important, right? Sometimes you, let's say you hear to a spiritual leader, right? um, then you really get not only the wisdom of that person, right? I mean that wisdom is important, and also beyond wisdom, his skin, his way, his tone, right? And at times it's so soothing, right? It's like you feel so good to hear to them, right? Or maybe at times you go and listen to a inspirational leader or a motivation speaker, you get motivated, right? The same way, if you go and speak to somebody, listen to somebody who is speaking in a negative tone, you might get depressed as well, right? Especially, let's say, when you are in a little tough time and you listen to somebody who is more negative, then it becomes, there is a high possibility that you go in depression as well. So power of spoken words is really important. Many times, repeating what your goals are to yourself and to others becomes a reality, right? Maybe God listen to you, I don't know, but words are very powerful, right? Now, why it is like that? So when you say with a conscious mind what you speak, your subconscious mind also registers it, right? So your self belief increases, right? And eventually, with your, of course, your actions are important, and eventually if your actions in the right direction and it matches what you say, then most likely you're going to get the right result. And same goes with others, right? If somebody wants to, let's say, do something really which is really something is possible, right? And then you discourage that person, right? Then most likely, and he trusts you so much, then maybe he'll not be motivated enough to do that stuff, right? So what's are important, and what's are important, if you people trust you, then it becomes more important. So the today's topic is, as I said, power of spoken words. In the next section, I'll discuss with my wife more about this topic, and in the subsequent parts, in the conclusion, I'll also tell you that why it is, how can you actually make sure that you also say the right things at the right time. Yeah, so stay tuned. Hi Devati, how are you?
Hi, I'm fine. How
Welcome
are
to
you?
our today's episode on health and wellness. I'm good. I'm good. So today's topic is power of spoken words.
Okay.
So there's somebody also listening to us other than us.
Okay.
Anyway, anyways, so you would have. Do you listen to motivational speakers a lot?
Yes, yes.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Sometimes, at least when you are low.
When you are alone, when I'm alone or I'm feeling sad little bit,
How do you feel?
I
How do you feel when listening to them?
it's I got motivated more.
Right, more inspiring, right?
Mm.
So I mean, so the words always are very important, right? Sometimes we, the people whom we trust, let's say parents, our parents, we do listen to them. But think of a situation when, let's say, they give you a wrong advice or a bad advice unknowingly, or they say, let's say, not only parents, your elders, and they, or also they say you can't do this. How do you feel?
So if someone is telling like that, if I cannot do, and that's the word is like very rudely they used to tell. So I feel I used to feel like that I cannot do anything. So I will be depressed for
Right.
that.
So I think so that's why power of spoken words is very important. Sometimes you say right now that it discourages you, demotivates you. But sometimes for some people, right, it motivates them to do even better. Okay, this guy has said I can't do this. I'll show him by doing this.
Yes.
So now when you say something to somebody, understand that what that
No,
word
it
can
depends
impact.
on the situation and the person who
Exactly.
is telling this
Right,
thing.
right. At what situation, what person who is saying to whom. So if I am a speaker, I have to be careful what I am speaking to what person at what situation, right? that I have to understand. It's a great responsibility to say something to somebody, right? So that's really important. So that's what power of spoken words, right? And sometimes when you love a person, right, it's better to say that person that I love you, right?
Yes.
Otherwise, of course, there's somebody else can say that to the other person, but then that maybe that person is waiting for that word for so long, right?
Yes.
And then when you say it, there's always when a guy proposes a girl, right? But there's a special way.
Yes.
There's a special way too, because it's of course verbal and non-verbal expression, but then the power of spoken words makes a lot of difference, right? So when especially I think more or less girls, right? Boys believe what they see more often. For girls, what I have heard and what I've done my research on, girls believe more on what they listen to,
Yes.
right? So if you're a guy and you're speaking to a girl, make sure that you say something which makes more sense to the other person. Because if you're lying, trust me, girls remember a lot, right? And that's what I am also experiencing, right? So girls remember a lot. So you should make sure that you say the right thing to the right person at the right time. So now tell me a situation where I mean you would have experienced a lot of situations where you would have seen a lot of negative people, right? People who speak of negative. What I mean by they speak negative a lot. Now, how do you experience? Do you want to stay in touch with them or you want to stay away from this kind of people?
I want to stay away from that kind of the people. Sometimes we cannot, for some circumstances, we cannot do this thing.
Yes.
As if suppose some relatives are there, so we cannot do this. We try to stay away from them, but sometimes we used to contact with them for some reason because they are relatives and this thing.
Yes.
And what if they are not relatives and other their friends in friend circle, so we can stay away. It is possible to stay away from
Yes.
them. Because the negative things give you the negative vibes, and so if any negative vibes in surrounding with you, then everything will be negative.
Right. Like
I think so.
I'll tell you. I mean, sometimes you have to speak very honest also. At times, even it's negative, it's not wrong. It's wrong. You have to say it as well. So I'll tell you. I'll give you an example. When I was doing a masters, right? So at that point of time, my professor actually gave me very less marks, and then he said, I was like devastated. Not only me, I had other friends also got less. We all devastated. Like, how can you get so less? And then he said, look, you don't have the right amount of knowledge at this point of time. So of course he's given us very less marks, but he justified by saying that, right now you don't have the knowledge. But he understands that in the future you can have. So don't think that this is what you deserve always. This is just the beginning. You can definitely do better. So at least even if you're tough on somebody, at least give that hope to the other person that you can do.
This thing, whatever thing you are telling like that, so this is not like negativity.
Yeah.
But he is telling, he was telling like that you have to do some, you have to do hard work or you have to do other thing to get more marks. I am telling like the negative word means sometimes. So I want to tell something about my future to my colleagues or to my friends. So if they are telling like that, no, this will not happen, you will not don't do this thing, that is like a negative. You are telling negative. I want to do this thing, but they are telling like don't do this thing, you will get so depressed for do if you do this thing. This is the negative. He, instead of motivating me, he is doing demoting me, or she is.
Now that's I understood. That's bad. That's bad. But think about a person who is a kind of a mentor to you, a very senior person.
Yes.
And if that person also demotivates you, that is very tough on you, right? That's something. So when you are a
So
person,
that is how they can motivate.
right?
Or okay. So for time being, the word should be like a negative word. But if you understand this thing, they are not demotivating me. We will understand that they are motivating us.
Yeah.
Right.
So why I am saying this? Because words are powerful. You got to be really careful what you say to whom at what point of time. Everything is there. Timing is also.
If I am a mentor, so I have to tell. So how I have to tell something to our mentee so that they cannot
Yes.
demotivate.
Yes, because there's a kind of trust, trust which is there. So he'll trust you. So then that's the responsibility. So I think that's what I want to discuss today. What is the power, how spoken words are really important, because at times if you have a goal also, right? If you speak about that goal often, quite often it becomes a reality, right? So you got to speak to your inner self, maybe others also. Then that becomes others also know. Others are aware that this is what you are trying to do. So that these are very spoken words are very powerful. So in the next section I want to discuss a little further But yeah, I mean, thanks a lot for your time.
Okay,
Nice discussing with you.
welcome.
Thanks a lot. Hi everyone, welcome back. So you would have heard my wife. We spoke about the power of spoken words, right? So as we realize that power of spoken words are really important. So at times it's really important to do some bit of self audit, right? Just see what effect you have on others when you say something. Okay, or maybe before even saying something, take a break, take a pause, and think what you're going to say, what effect that is going to have, right? So in short, pay attention to whatever you are saying, because as I said, it can create a lot of impact. Other thing is, it's better to say something to some person in direct, right, rather than indirect communication or gossiping. It's better to say things indirect, because that's because when you gossip, it might get into the other person ear, and it can create a negative impact, right? Because it's flowing through somebody else. So it's better to be direct. Okay, and it's also important to speak only the truth, right? At times, people do manipulate others with their words, right? That's not good. Maybe sometimes it helps politicians, but it's better to avoid this kind of manipulative things. So better be honest with when you say something to somebody, and especially people who trust you. That's, as I say, words are very powerful. So, and also try to speak in person as much as possible, rather than trying to going through text mode or phone. It's better to speak in person, especially, let's say, when you was in phone and you are, let's say, saying something which is not so nice to hear. Maybe other person around you also hear into that, and they might not be willing to hear to that. So it's better as much as possible to speak in person, because that's always helps. Because you, when you speak in person, he also sees your expression, right? Not only listen to the voice, he also sees expression and understand it better. So these are the few tips how you can connect to the other person in a better way, and communicate better, so that other person understand you better. And I mean, as I said, right, spoken words are very powerful. So let me know in the comments what are the topics you like me to share. So, and also please do like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thanks a lot.